But anyway, I'm sort of here to sort of give you guys a guide of what it's like being in Zimbabwe or Zimbabwe. I'm sure how many people know Zimbabweans here? You know any Zimbabweans you do? Yeah? So you can normally tell Zimbabweans, but we've got very different accents. So I want to take you through the different accents we have in Zimbabwe. So as you know, in Zimbabwe we've got the Ndebele and the Shona. Yes? Okay, we're together? Okay, so the Shona have a very aggressive sort of accent when they're speaking. Okay? So you normally hear them, if they're in earshot and they're speaking, it's a very aggressive language. It's like, which means hello. And so, you know, it's kind of very difficult, you know, very easy to pick up like a Shona accent. And that sort of interferes with everything else that you say when you're speaking in English, because Shona kind of interferes with the English language somehow. I'll give you an example. Like, if you've got you know, like one of the top 20 sort of countdown voices on radio, right? It was like number 20, number 19, number 18, number 17, number 16. So you know, it sort of interacts with the flow of the English language, makes it very difficult for people to talk. So you find like certain things that you say in Shona, like Shona is not really a romantic language. I'll just take you through a couple of examples. So if I want to say, I love you, I want to make love to you. So you find Shona just tends to be a bit aggressive from that point of view. Then we've got the Ndebele accent. You know, like I'm Ndebele, but not the Ndebeles that you have in South Africa. We're not as colorful. But the Ndebeles have a way of speaking, you know, so they'll say stuff like, you know, my uncle's little brothers sort of exclaimed, you know, that kind of thing. So that's how they speak. But Ndebele is a very easy language to learn. So I want to teach you how to speak Ndebele, okay? So with the Ndebele language, you have to put the letter I in front of everything that you say, okay? Like, iPhone, yes? Okay? E-comment, yes? You remember the Will Smith movie, the Ndebele movie that he did? E-robot. And other words in the English language that have been derived from this beautiful Ndebele language are internet, information, itoked. So that's the kind of thing that you get in the Ndebele language. But we've got other accents in Zimbabwe. We have what we call Studio 263s. These are girls that, you know, Zimbabwe went through a bit of a rough patch, you know. Things started going a bit funny. Most of us turned into billionaires overnight. I myself was a billionaire, then a trillionaire, then a quadrillionaire. At that point I started making up all sorts of words like a chitillionaire, whatever. So at that particular point, most people did the only thing that was sensible. At that point when you become a quadrillionaire, you go to England to be a nurse. That's the next level. So people started sending a lot of money back home, and you had a lot of beautiful women, you know, like beautiful women like this. And what would happen is, she looks the part, but she doesn't sound it. So you get girls that speak like this, you know. So you know, these girls will be talking like this, and this is how their accent is, you know. Let me just take you through a conversation that sort of happened the one time. There are these two girls, they are just speaking in a text, you know. And they are saying, you know, my favorite movie that I love to watch, that movie is so good and so great, it's called Shrek. Shrek is such a good movie, that one, you know. I remember my favorite character in Shrek is Dongi, you know. Dongi is such a nice character, I'm telling you. Remember how he laughs at his pussy? You know, that pussy is just so funny. Who's ever seen a pussy in boots? Do you remember when the pussy got all wet? Yeah, so that's basically, you know, the Studio 263 accent. And people such as myself that came from a rich, very fortunate family, we were very well-to-do. I mean, my parents had excellent jobs. They were both teachers. And they raised me and they sent me to England and, you know, studied nursing. I worked mainly in gynecology. No, it's okay, you don't have to cross your legs. But I worked mainly in gynecology, which basically means I looked at a lot of sick vaginas. But when, you know, a lot of us also tried to go to England, but unfortunately a lot of these guys got to England, they got to Gatwick, they got deported and came back with an accent. You know, that kind of, you know, you sort of speak like this, you know, so you've just been to England for about a few months, you know what I'm saying, like, or maybe just a couple of minutes, and sometimes the accent sort of slips a couple of times, and, you know, certain words sort of drop in, so I could be talking about, you know, I was chilling with my friends and we're watching Champions League, you know what I'm saying, so my friends were like, you know, Carl, you know, can you get us something to drink? So I went over to the kitchen and opened up the fridge, and, you know, it was, I grabbed a couple of beers, you know what I'm saying, and, you know, sort of drinking all stuff, and the guys were like, you know, like something to eat, so I took some meat and I put some rosemary, some thyme, and a bit of salt, you know, and, you know, just bumped it in the old one, you know, and, you know, basically that's what it was about. So, you know, one of my friends knocked over his glass, you know, into my girlfriend's frows, you know, and, you know, I was really pissed off, and I was like, you know, can you sort of wipe that? He was like, okay, there's no water. I was like, oh shit, the municipality just closed, you know. So you've got that kind of accent that you have in Zimbabwe. And something that happens in Zimbabwe as you get to my level, you notice on the bill it says, you know, I'm Joshua Ncube, I'm the biggest Zimbabwean stand-up comedian in the world. But that's only because the other comedians in Zimbabwe are quite short, so. So, you know, at this point when you start growing one of these, it used to be a six-pack, and I put it in my cooler box, but so essentially when you get to this stage, this is what we refer to as a big data in Zimbabwe. Big data basically means you're, you know, big, sort of big boss kind of guy, you know, you're making a lot of money, this is what happens, so you're almost a big data. So, as you get to the stage of being a big data, you know, this is what happens around you. So a lot of people, you know, like in England, when you have a lot of money, people can't understand what you're saying. So and the same thing happens in Africa, the same thing happens in Zimbabwe. So once you get a lot of money, people don't understand what you're saying. So it could be an interview with the minister or something, and you know, they'll come up to you and they'll say, yes, Mr. Minister, can you please tell us, what do you think about this land reform issue? Well, I'm not finished. So that's a very important accent that we have in Zimbabwe, which is our big Dara accent. And one accent that I really love, because I go to church, you know, and as a 263 girl would say, I go to church, yes, because I'm a Christian, right? Yes, I'm a virgin, I've never had sex, you know? Yeah, but when you go to church, there's a particular way that the pastors in Zimbabwe speak, okay? And this is right across the country. It doesn't matter where you come from, all the pastors speak exactly the same. They go to this pastors' convention, they teach them, this is the way you speak, this is how you pronounce these particular words. So I'll just take you through a bit of a sermon, okay? There was a woman in the Bible. And it always has to be distorted, okay? There was a woman in the Bible whose daughter was grievously vexed with the devil. She left her church and began to seek Jesus. And when she saw him and called on him, she called out and said, Lord, help me. When you begin to pray together, you must remember that everything you ask, you must ask in the name of Jesus. But whatever he gives you with the enabling of the Spirit. Thank you so much, everyone. My name is Joshua Ncube. Hope to see you guys tomorrow night.